Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for a movie that I thought came out last year. I started seeing reviews for it last year in 2022. I'm reviewing it in 2023, but IMDb says it came out in 2021. What the fuck? Anyway, this is The Tomorrow War. It's about 2 hours and 18 minutes long. It needs some trimming, for sure. It stars Chris Pratt. It's directed by, what is his name? Chris McKay, who did the Renfield movie recently. J.K. Simmons is also in the film, too. And let me tell you, I'm not the biggest sci-fi movie guy. Like, I love Star Wars. I like some Star Trek stuff. It depends on what we're talking about. Sci-fi is not the worst thing ever, but in this case, it's kind of like a sci-fi horror movie with some time travel thrown in there, which is really what the title is saying, The Tomorrow War. The War Tomorrow, you know what I mean? Anyway, so The Tomorrow War, I had kind of kept my hands away from this, not because of the political situation around it. Everybody was causing controversy in the critical world of Hollywood shills on the internet because of Chris Pratt being in this movie. I don't give a shit about that. I love Chris Pratt. He's a good actor. He's fine here for what he has to do. And I didn't really know if I would like this movie, so I kept staying away from it. It's also an Amazon exclusive, by the way. I watched it on Prime pretty much back-to-back with the 2012 Battleship movie I never saw. And I gotta tell you, both of these films kind of back-to-back, they're kind of similar in some cool ways, but I really enjoyed both. And I gotta tell you, this one was way better in quality filmmaking, but Battleship was more entertaining, which was crazy to me. The Tomorrow War, though, I'll focus on instead of Battleship. This is a movie that I wanted to see for many reasons. The sci-fi horror element, and Chris Pratt himself. And essentially the plot, let's go to that, I guess. It's about Chris Pratt playing a dad and a father who is having a hard time looking for a job after his military career. And one day, while he's celebrating Christmas, as a matter of fact, having a Christmas party at his house with his family and his friends and neighbors, he happens to be watching a soccer game on TV after having a very heartfelt moment with his daughter and his wife. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the soccer game, at the actual soccer field, broadcast upon TV to everybody on the planet, a bunch of military people come out of a giant purple lightning cloud that's still kind of misty, and they claim to be people, soldiers, humans, whatever, from 30 years in the future, in like 2050, I think is what they said it would be. And they claim that they've been in a war for quite a long time that's going to start in about, I think, a year or something like that, down the road from the current timeline that Chris Pratt lives in, and that they're going to have to start drafting people through the government in our timeline to go fight this war in the future. Now, the way they get to the future, by the way, is not just basic, typical time travel. It kind of is, but it's kind of not. You have this thing installed on your arm from a machine, which was really Mark of the Beast-like, which was kind of spooky to me. And Chris Pratt, eventually, when the drafts start rolling through, eventually he gets drafted and has to go. And he gets training. Of course, he's ex-military, but a lot of the people there are not trained that well. They have like a montage, but it's very quick. They don't really train up these random civilians over the age of 40 very well. And they don't really pick the best actors and actresses for them either. One of them is Chloe from 24. Have you seen 24? Chloe is in this. It's super bizarre seeing her in something that I haven't seen her in ages, Anyway, he goes off to war in the future. The future stuff I love. The horror aspect of this movie I love. The time travel stuff even I really, really enjoyed. To me, the biggest ball drop in this film, the biggest miscasting, miswritten thing is this one character in the film. It's a black guy who is supposed to be like kind of the Chris Pratt best friend, but not really best friend. He's just kind of a random dude he meets in the military this time around for this future war. And, this guy's annoying. He annoys the shit out of me. He just mumbles all of his lines all of the time. Everything drowns him out. The guy is just such... It's not the actor's fault. It's the direction, it's the writing of this character. This character should have never been in the film. It should have never been a part of it. It just expanded this movie more. You didn't need it. I understand why this character is important later on, but you easily could have rewritten this to be one of the other many, many characters in the movie to do what he had to do. Again, the movie's almost 2.5 hours long. There's quite a few things that could have been trimmed out, a couple of scenes that could have been trimmed down a little bit too, but it going straight to streaming for Amazon exclusiveness, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. As a matter of fact, I think the pacing is fairly good throughout the entire film. It's got a lot of action to it, a lot of scares to it, as a matter of fact. By the way, I didn't really talk about the war that's being fought in the future. It's more about humanity fighting some kind of alien creature of some sort. The film explains more about that as you watch. but they're not your typical aliens like you'd see in the Battleship movie I mentioned a moment ago. It's kind of a different thing, but kind of something you've seen before in other movies. I won't tell you which ones, I don't want to spoil it for you too much, but I enjoyed the alien design. I thought it looked really good, as well as the CGI. I thought the CGI was fantastic in this movie in pretty much every facet. There weren't many times that I was like, oh, that looks like shit. But it was pretty solid. The directing of it was pretty solid most of the time. The action set pieces and all that could get you really pumped up. And the writing, aside from that one character I don't like that I thought needed to not be in this movie, everybody else, Chris Pratt, his wife, his daughter, even the casting for his daughter, all of them were really good. J.K. Simmons and Chris Pratt's writing were really good as characters. I liked what this film did and the kind of heart it had in this movie. I wasn't expecting that going into this film. The kind of reviews I was seeing either seemed against the movie for political reasons or they seemed like for it for political reasons. But watching it myself, not going to go too far into how I believe or anything, I enjoyed it for what I got. I thought it was very passionately made and surprising. In a lot of ways, some really cool twists here and there. Some things I've seen done in other projects, TV shows, movies, whatever, even books for that matter. Other things, never seen done before. Thought they were kind of nice touches for what this film was doing. The finale, the third act, I thought was pretty satisfying. This war in the future feels hopeless. And I gotta tell you, there's this looming anxiety for the first 40 minutes of this film before we even get to the future fight scenes. Yes, it takes like 40 minutes to get there. The beginning of this film, with the introduction of these soldiers coming to our timeline, explaining what's going on, the anxiety building to them going through the training and getting sent to the future is pretty insane. Like, it's pretty high tension, you know? And I love that about it. It made me feel something. I couldn't help but escape, or not escape, the worry. The worry that what were they going to face? What the fuck was the thing they're fighting in the future? It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed all of those aspects, and I think the film is well made enough that I can recommend it to pretty much everybody. If you like military movies that don't have sci-fi aspects to them, I think you'd like this. If you like sci-fi shooters, this is for you. If you like action movies, this is for you. If you like family dramas and kind of things like Edge of Tomorrow, this is for you, for sure. Easily for sure, if you like Edge of Tomorrow. It's got a little bit for everybody, and some films can balance that out very well. For whatever reason, the Tomorrow War can. And it surprises me, because this is probably one of the best films to come out of Hollywood, if you consider Amazon part of Hollywood, that I've seen in a very long time. And it came out a couple of years ago, apparently, or at least a year ago, something like that. I've been late on the train. I'm glad I finally saw it. I really, really dug this flick. But it's got its problems. For example, the music has many a time that I would say it's very well done. Most of the time, I would say it's very well done as a score for this film. I don't know who put it together, but it's really good. And yet, the film itself has moments where I feel like the music should have been even better, and yet it wasn't. And it's bizarre to me. Some of the choices on things like that were very weird, especially, again, in the third act. But overall, the war, or Tomorrow War, I thought was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I wish that Chris Pratt had more to do. He does do fairly well for what his role required. It's a solid flick. I recommend it if you like war movies, action movies, all that stuff, like I said. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's one of those ones like Battleship that surprised the shit out of me watching it. So anyway, have you seen The Tomorrow War? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down in the comment section down below. And if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would probably give it probably a 4 out of 5 stars, man. It was very, very well made, very enjoyable, very well written for the most part. It's sloppy sometimes, just a couple of times, but, you know, with the things that could have been trimmed out, overall, it's really good. It's a really good recommendation from me, yours truly. Anyway, put your thoughts and comments down below again. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.